The church doors slammed shut just as I reached the entrance. My stepmother, Linda, stood on the top step dressed in black, her arms folded across her chest. "You're not welcome here," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Mourners turned toward me. Some looked confused. Others looked away, unwilling to get involved. My half-brother smirked from behind her. "Dad made it clear," Linda continued. "He didn't want you at his funeral." My heart shattered. I had spent the last 4 years caring for Dad through chemotherapy while they visited only when cameras were around. Still, I quietly stepped back. I thought the worst part of losing my father was over. I had no idea the funeral hadn't really begun. Dad and I had always been close. After my mother passed away, he raised me alone until he married Linda. At first she was kind. Then everything slowly changed. Family photos disappeared from the walls. My childhood bedroom became a storage room. Birthdays were forgotten. Holidays became awkward. Dad noticed, but every time he confronted Linda, she convinced him everything was a misunderstanding. I never argued because I didn't want him caught between us. When Dad was diagnosed with cancer, Linda suddenly became the perfect wife. She posted smiling hospital selfies online and accepted sympathy from everyone she knew. What people didn't see were the nights she spent at home while I slept in the hospital chair beside Dad. I brought his medication, paid bills he forgot about, and held his hand through every painful treatment. During one quiet evening he looked at me and whispered, "Promise me something." I smiled. "Anything." He squeezed my hand. "After I'm gone, don't leave before the end." I didn't understand what he meant. I promised anyway. Standing outside the church, I remembered those words. So instead of driving away, I waited in the parking lot. Nearly an hour later, I noticed several unfamiliar men carrying cameras and lighting equipment into the sanctuary. Then Dad's attorney arrived carrying a black equipment case. Curious whispers spread through the crowd. Something unusual was about to happen. Inside the church, after the pastor finished speaking, the attorney walked to the podium. "Before Mr. Harrison's final wishes are read," he announced, "he instructed us to play a private video recorded 6 months ago." Linda smiled confidently, assuming it would be another loving message for the family. The lights dimmed. A large screen lowered behind the altar. Dad appeared on the screen wearing his favorite blue sweater. He looked tired but peaceful. He smiled softly before speaking. "If you're watching this, then I wasn't strong enough to beat cancer." The room fell completely silent. "Before anything else," he continued, "I need everyone to know something." He paused and looked directly into the camera. "If my daughter Emily is not sitting in the front row right now, someone has ignored my final request." Linda's smile disappeared. People immediately turned toward the empty front row seat with my name printed on a white card. Dad continued. "Emily has been my greatest blessing since the day she was born. If she has been kept away from this funeral, then the people responsible should leave now, because what I'm about to say is meant for those who truly loved me." The church became so quiet that even quiet breathing sounded loud. Dad reached beside him and held up a small notebook. "For the past 2 years I've kept a journal. Every hospital visit. Every phone call. Every bill. Every visitor. I wanted the truth recorded because I knew appearances could be deceiving." The screen changed to scanned pages from the journal. Each entry listed dates, names, and times. Emily, present. Emily, overnight. Emily, paid prescription. Linda, not present. Michael, cancelled visit. The evidence filled page after page. Gasps echoed through the church. Linda slowly stood. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. Dad's attorney calmly interrupted. "Please remain seated. There's more." Dad smiled sadly into the camera. "Linda, If you're hearing this, I already know about the forged power of attorney papers you tried to make me sign while I was heavily medicated. I refused. I also installed security cameras in my office after important documents started disappearing. Linda's face turned completely white. The video switched again. Security footage showed Linda entering Dad's office late at night, searching through drawers, photographing financial papers, and placing several documents into her handbag. Someone in the back whispered, "Oh my God." Dad spoke once more. "Everything you just saw has already been delivered to my attorney and the authorities." Panic spread across Linda's face. She hurried toward the exit, but two detectives waiting near the back doors quietly stepped into her path. The church watched in stunned silence as she was escorted outside. My half-brother remained frozen in his seat, unable to speak. Then Dad smiled one last time. "Emily, if you're still outside because someone tried to keep you away, come inside now. This funeral was never meant to begin without you." The attorney walked to the church entrance and opened the doors. Every person inside turned toward me. No one said a word. The front row seat waited exactly where Dad had promised. As I slowly walked down the aisle, people moved aside with tears in their eyes. Several reached out and squeezed my hand. When I sat down, Dad's final message continued. "My estate has already been placed into a trust managed by my attorney. My home, my business, and everything I've worked for belongs to Emily. Not because she's my daughter, but because she never stopped being my family." Linda later challenged the trust in court, claiming Dad had been manipulated. The recordings, medical evaluations, security footage, handwritten journals, and witness testimony proved otherwise. Investigators also uncovered evidence that she had attempted to transfer large sums of money using forged documents during Dad's illness. Criminal charges followed. Her civil claims failed one after another. Almost 2 years have passed since that day. I still visit Dad's grave every Sunday morning with fresh blue lilies, his favorite flowers. Sometimes people ask whether the inheritance changed my life. I always give the same answer. The inheritance wasn't the house or the business. It was hearing my father defend me one final time when I wasn't even allowed inside the church. Some people leave behind money. Some leave behind memories. My father left behind the truth, and in the end, that was the one thing nobody could bury.